But the rule is when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And that's unfortunate, but it's true. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. And if this is your first time here, hello, welcome. This is Essential Patience and I Am Patience. And in today's video, I will be challenging a long-standing saying, which is to learn from experiences. And it's not because I think it's wrong, but my viewpoint on this, or the argument that I'm also bringing about today, is to not just learn from your own experiences, but it's also very important to learn from the experiences of others. Oftentimes people say, oh, I want to make my mistakes. That's okay. I do think that there is a level of benefit. There is this thing called life that we've seen other people live, and they've made mistakes. We evaluate our lives based on their mistakes as well. Insanity is doing the exact same thing over and over again and we're expecting a different result. But we don't implement that in our lives. When we see people in our lives do the same mistakes, we don't change it in our lives and we're like, oh, but I want to make my own mistakes. Why? What's so important? What's so special about your mistake that you can't see that other people make the exact same mistakes? So learn from other people's mistakes. And that's where we're really going to go from this. And this is not the most structured argument. I do have some points that I would be talking about, but I really wanted to open up this conversation because as I've lived my life, I've always learned from other people's mistakes. I listen to people's advice. I don't always take every single advice, and I look at how people have lived their lives. And I find value in other people's mistakes that I don't have to repeat, or I don't want to repeat. Because why would I want to repeat something that already seems to have a result? Especially if it happens over and over again to multiple people and the results are shown. So let's really get into this discussion. What really prompted me to really think about this especially was the whole idea of savings and retirement. And as you know, I talk so much about saving, investing for retirement, always making sure you have an emergency fund. I saw this video of a lady. She was 73 years old. She didn't have a house. She doesn't have anything saved. She has zero retirement, and she's 73 years old. And I think I will do another breakdown of this on maybe a separate video where I will really take that video and dissect it, because I found it to be a very sad situation. And oftentimes when I talk to young people about savings and retirement, they always talk about, well, what if I don't live that long? What if I don't make it to the age of retirement? Oh, how do I know what the future holds? Or I will do it later. There's always time. But we've seen what it is for the average American who doesn't start early. And I really thought about this, not just in that sense. That was just one example, but also in the sense of what other people are doing. We see the results of other people's action. What prompts us not to be able to make that change in our lives? Why are we so adamant about we're going to be different, or somehow we're going to yield a different result, taking the exact same steps that we've seen other people take, and yet they've ended up in this bad result? And taking from that lady's point of view of being 73 years old, she still has student loan debt, no house, which is a part of the American dream. Most people want to have a house, get to their 30-year mortgage around their 30s and 40s, and to have it paid off by retirement. That's the hope for many people. What happened when she was 30? What kept her pushing it back? Because it's not like she wasn't even making a lot of money. She was making a very decent amount of money. And she seems to have up their lifestyle, not like the most affluent lifestyle or the most frivolous lifestyle, but it seemed that she could save more than she actually was saving. And I wonder what prompted her to wait till she was 73 years old to start taking action for a better future. Now she is interested in buying a house. Now she's interested in paying off her student loan, having a different future. And while I'm not one to say it's too late, because I don't know, she might live another 20, 25 years. But I take that as an example of what I don't want to happen. I don't want to have to be working at 73 years old because I have to. I don't even want to work at 63 years old because I have to. And that's what I think about. Learning from other people's experiences. We know the result of waiting for much longer time to invest. Not only are we losing the future value as well, but we're also losing compound interest. A lot of time we're bypassing employer match because she wanted to put money into 401k as well, I think, in the future. I'm guessing she's worked for another 50 years prior at least. She bypassed a lot of employer match. She was educated, she was in corporate America. And I always wonder what stopped her from investing at 62 or 52, 42. She didn't see her entire life story. But I really think that it's important that we take a look at lives like that, not to yield judgment onto them, because like I said, we don't know her full life story. But we do know that she's had those student loans around for at least the past, I think she said 20 years. She hadn't been as motivated to pay them off as she has now at 73. She also got some more education along the way. She had several degrees. That's what she was insinuating. Taking that life and looking at that life experience, does that make you want to change anything about your life? Does it make you want to do better and to be better? And I think when we look at that, because we always don't think of that could be us, that's not going to be me. The more we put off doing things, the more we want to so much do our own experiences and not learn from the people around us, we sometimes end up in this situation. Nobody thinks they're going to drink and then become an alcoholic. Nobody thinks they're going to do drugs and become a drug addict, fall into some sort of bad situation. That's going to become the identity. But we learn from other people, because it's proven that a lot of people who fall into those situations yield certain results. Take a look at the lives around us. Talk to people. Ask them about their life situation. And you don't have to always take advice from people, because I don't believe in taking advice from everybody. But it's important to observe their lives and use them as a basis of what you should and should not do. We can't avoid every single mistake, but there's some that you can. There is a level of redundancy in repeating the mistakes of previous generations, of your parents, current situation, the things that you're currently going through, what you've seen your siblings go through, what you've seen your aunts and uncles, friends, family friends go through. There's redundancy in that. And another example would be, let's say somebody falls into teenage pregnancy. You see the struggle that they go through. Maybe they have to drop out of school. Now they have to care for a child. You look at that and then you're like, oh, but I want to make my own mistakes. You don't take precautions. Go the opposite way, where you're like, okay, like this is me and I'm not going to do what they did. And instead I'm going to live a different life. Somehow people think they're the exception. But remember that there is no need to repeat other people's mistakes that you've seen. That's how we progress in life. That's how we progress as a society. We stop repeating the mistakes of previous generations. Modern medicine is not perfect. When you have a fever or a cold, they don't drain all your blood. That's something that they used to do in the past. They would like literally drain your blood and think bloodletting would help the sickness or illness go away. We know nowadays that that's not it. So why practice it? Lobotomy, for example, was something that was very popular in the 1900s. Now, they don't do lobotomy anymore. Why? Because they know that taking this thing and poking in people's heads is affecting them, damaging somebody's brain. We learn from these as a society, from the mistakes of previous societies and even other nations. So why would we want to repeat the mistakes of other individuals that we've seen? We can't eliminate everything, but some of the things we can do better. And in that same token, these experiences that we want to participate in, these mistakes can be expensive. You want to make your own mistake, but yeah, you're making that $100,000 mistake, or thousands of dollars, hundreds of dollars, whatever amount it is. One of those mistakes that a lot of Americans today face is student loans. When they are going to a super expensive school for a degree that does not have a good market value. For a career field that's 20, 30 years in, the people are making, let's say, $60,000, $70,000, but this degree, you're going to school that costs $60,000, $70,000 a year just to get that degree. A lot of people in student loan debt that they can't afford. So why would you want to follow the exact same mistakes? I saw that going into college. There were also limitations that I had, and I was one of those students who didn't qualify for any grants from the government, and I had to fall into that merit-based scholarship where I had to work super hard on my grades, test scores, extracurricular activities, volunteering, engaging my society and community in order to make sure that I was eligible to compete on a merit-based level. I was applying for like over 50 plus scholarships a year. In my time between senior of high school and senior of college, I applied for over 200 scholarships because I didn't want to end up in crippling student loan debt. I saw so many people, like literally now millions of people. You have to find a different way. And so I look at that and I'm thinking, I don't want this to be me. I don't want to start off my career $200,000-$300,000 in student loan debt. I chose the path that at that time was very difficult, was very hard, taking 6-7 classes a semester, working part-time, applying for several scholarships, internships, and all of these things. It wasn't easy. However, I saw the mistakes of others and I decided that I didn't want that to be me. It's not saying that I don't take out any student loan. Sometimes there are things like medical school where some people just seem to have to take it out. But there are different options that you want to explore. Maybe you don't have to go to that super expensive school. Maybe go to a public school in your state. Work that extra job. Apply for scholarship. I would always tell people, apply for scholarship. People are like feeling so lazy. It's either you feel lazy now and have to pay thousands of dollars later, or take that few hours in a week, in a month, to apply for several scholarships to ensure that you don't end up in crippling student loan debt. And that's how some mistakes of people that we don't learn from can be super expensive. There are a lot of people who, if they have to do it all over again, they wouldn't go to that super expensive school for a degree that its market value doesn't yield much. Some experiences can also be time consuming. If you know and you saw what other people are doing and how their mistake cost them so much time, why would you want to do that too? Yes, babies are a blessing from God. There's a time and place for babies. Being in high school is not the time. And I know how children need attention, and they deserve it too. Children should not be a burden onto your life, but it's hard to get that blessing and to really experience the joy of it when you're struggling, when you're not financially secure. We see some people who have kids when you're not financially secure and how they struggle with those kids, how they can't even afford to feed their children. If I'm not financially secure, I'm not having children. I want to make sure that when I do have children, the most ideal situation, of course, being married, being in a home, having a stable job, savings, and having that child to come and add to happiness in the home, because children need their parents physically, emotionally, and they need their parents' finances. Accept the reality of it. Children are not cheap. They take time and they deserve it. They deserve the best. And so when you see people who have kids and they're struggling with it, why would you want to bring kids into an unstable situation and you're thinking your situation will be different? And I've heard some people talk about having kids to love you. Their job is not to love you. It's your responsibility to take care of them. And as a parent, that's the most important responsibility, is to take care of them. And kids don't deserve to struggle. And it's so sad that the child poverty rate in this country is so bad. And I think sometimes if we just waited a little longer, and you don't have to be rich. I'm not saying that somehow if you don't have money, you can't have kids. That's not what I'm saying at all. However, I want to have kids when I can give them the best life that I can, and making sure that I can at least provide them the basic, because I find that as a parent, that's your responsibility, to be able to feed your kids 3 healthy meals a day, to put them in a safe environment, and to have them clothed, shelter, and love, and your attention. The next one is that some of those experiences can be traumatizing, and we can take that from the example of drinking too much or participating in drugs. Even some people will be like recreational drugs. People who basically lose so much of their life going too far with these things. A lot of times it's best to stay away and not to dibble dabble in it, because you're dibbling and dabbling until you get stuck in it. You have to now pull yourself out of that situation. I'm sure if a lot of people who have been addicts can go back, they'll be like, okay, I would have never taken that joint. I would have never taken that drug. I would have never gambled. Traumatized. People who have lost everything to gambling, everything. And they started off winning, but the house always wins. Remember that. People file for bankruptcy. They lose their families. The number one cause of divorce in America is finances, and some of these is caused by gambling. And then it just creates this generation of broken families, traumatized kids. You're traumatized. Nobody thinks that you're going to gamble one time in Vegas and turn into a gambling addict, but it happens. Things that we see as fun. Sports betting is now really big. It's one of the fastest growing gambling industries in America. But it can be traumatizing. Accumulating a bunch of student loan debt that you can't pay off, that you're sleeping at night thinking about how you're hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt, can be traumatizing. And there's so many of these situations that may seem good, but they end up being traumatizing. And it takes away so much from your mental health. So it's really important that we learn, again, from other people, and to understand that, yes, it's possible. There are always outliers, but the rule is when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. And that's unfortunate, but it's true. And with those, part of winning stupid prizes is also losing future opportunities. A lot of these things and mistakes that we fall into can cost us opportunities. Let's go back to the gambling, and then you lose everything, you file for bankruptcy. That's really bad for your future jobs as well. Some jobs will not hire you if you've gone through such financial struggle and file for bankruptcy. When you get a security clearance, they'll ask you, have you ever filed for bankruptcy? They look into your past. You are in the finance field and you have a gambling problem. They will not trust you and you can lose your job for gambling. So making sure that you don't lose opportunities based on just the nows and the mistakes that you don't learn from others. And that's why it's really good to also look into your field. Look at the mistakes other people do. Look at what cost people the opportunities. Look at the people who were able to get to the top and ask them for mentorship. Look at what they did right. That you don't have to go through everything in order to learn from it. Like, life is a lesson. People's lives are lessons for us. You don't want to be losing future opportunities because you weren't able to learn from other people's mistakes and because you just had to do it. And just apply the lessons that you learn from other people tell you about the mistakes they made in their life, or mistakes that you have made, you tell other people too. But make sure to apply those lessons in your life for a better tomorrow and a better future. We can't change the past, but in the future, we're still learning. We should always learn from our mistakes. All make mistakes, and we'll continue to make mistakes. As long as we're living and breathing, we're going to make mistakes. But so are other people. And the good thing about looking at other people's mistakes is that we can learn off of each other's mistakes. So I don't have to make your mistakes and you don't have to make my mistakes. Circling back around with the story of the 73-year-old woman, I learned a lot from that. It's not a judgment of her. And I felt sad internally that a 73-year-old woman has to work because she literally has nothing. Absolutely nothing. And in the past, some parents would rely on their kids as their retirement fund. They wouldn't save anything. But what I learned from that is that not only do I want to have something, I don't really want to rely on my kids for a retirement. My responsibility now to set myself up. I want to be able to help them. I want to pass down generational wealth. And I've seen the mistakes that other people did that they couldn't do that. So I want to implement the lessons that I've learned from those, and then the people who've been successful in that, and implement it in my life so that I will have hopefully a different outcome. But in that process, in that journey, I've already made mistakes and I'll continue to probably make mistakes. And I talk about like opening a Roth IRA. I opened one at 20 years old and I wish I'd opened it at 18. That's something I would like to tell my kids. Open a Roth IRA at 18. There's some things that I could have saved better on. About my car, there's some things that I did that I could have done better. I've learned from that. I even told that to my sister, to my friends who are about to buy cars. I don't want them to go through that mistake that I went through. And I learned from them as well. Because we're a society and we live in this society together. And in order to go forward, we need different struggles. We can't be struggling with the exact same things over and over again. We need different, bigger, more challenging, new struggles. And that's what really shows progress in us as individuals and in us as a society. And one of my favorite quotes that really exemplifies and encapsulates the entire theme of this video is that a wise person learns from his mistakes. A wiser person learns from the mistakes of others, but the wisest person of all learns from others' successes. And so like I said in the beginning of the video, it's not that I want to learn from my own mistakes. If I make a mistake, I learn from it. But even better yet, I would like to avoid those mistakes if I can and learn from other people's mistakes. Because I really believe that I shouldn't have the exact same challenges of the people around me that have already been through it. And so when you see them come out the other side, that's a success. So learn from that success, learn from that mistake, and so that we can have bigger and better trials, newer trials, and not get stuck in generational struggles. The same struggle that your granddaddy struggled with, your mama struggled with, now you're struggling with. No, we're not doing that. We're breaking generational mistakes. We're learning from them and starting on new successes and learning from new mistakes. And with that, I bring this video to an end. Thank you so much. Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. And let me know in the comment section, what mistakes did you learn from somebody that really prevented you from going down a path that maybe you would have really struggled? To hear from you and what you have to say about these generational mistakes and learning to break that cycle. And remember to ring the notification bell because I post 2 videos a week on Tuesdays and on Fridays. Come on over because there'll be new conversations waiting for you. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.